guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to review a book or a series that I've recently finished reading that I have already mentioned in my first vlog, and I don't know, I personally love reading people's reviews, opinions on stories, because that makes a world of difference as to whether I'm going to read it or not. And even then I will still read it, and it's really nice just to hear other people's opinions. I know there are so many series that I've personally loved that other people have not, and vice versa. Some people have absolutely die-hard loved a series and I've not enjoyed it so much, and then some people have recommended me books that they love and I love. So I don't know if I've shown you guys my bookcase yet or not, so here we go. So probably should have got the book first. Alright, so this is a trilogy that I'm reviewing all three today. So we started off with book one, which I just happened to see at the bookstore and I was like, cute cover, so I picked it up. Anything that's got bright colours I'm trying to get more of, because currently I only have 2 shelves of bright colours and the rest are mostly dark. So book one of Tessa Bailey's Hot and Hammered series is Fixer Up, and it follows Georgie Castle and Travis Ford. Now I don't want to kind of start delving into the story, because if you guys want to read it, that's something that's really exciting to go along the way. But the writing itself in this story is so easy to follow. I managed to finish this book in 2 days. Then I went to a couple of different bookstores to get the next book. And again, that one there I finished in 2 days as well. Then the third book I didn't also pick up at the same time as the second because they didn't have it in stock, so I got a call when it was in stock and went and picked it up, and I finished that in 1.5 days. I kind of chewed through that one. I was like, I do not want to stop. So the first book I really liked. I liked all three. What am I talking about? I say a lot, don't I? This is awkward. Sorry guys. It's so hard when you haven't planned what you're going to say and you're just kind of going free ball and going for it. Wow. You start getting tongue-tied and you're like, have I said this already? What am I going to say next? I'm not prepared. So just bear with me. Like I was saying before, the writing in this is really easy to read. It is an adult book because it's got romance. It's got some, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it's got some romance, some adult romance in it that at times, I don't want to say it was cringe, but for me personally, sometimes when I read certain words or certain acts played out, I'm like, oh, I'm not a prude, I swear, but oh. But then I can read like anything by Jodie and be okay. I don't know, maybe it's just me. I'm rambling again. So yeah, so sometimes some of the words were a bit cringe and I was like, oh, but I could push through it. There are a few other series that I read that use similar words and similar terminology, sentences that still make me cringe, but writing about romance is never going to be smooth sailing 100% of the way, so I'm okay with that. I've started writing a romance novel that I never finished, still work in progress, but even at times for that, like trying to find a nice way to say certain things, it's never going to happen. But despite that, loved this. So the blurb of Fixer Up is, Georgette Castle's family runs the best home renovation business in town. But she picked balloons instead of blueprints and no one has taken her seriously since. Frankly, she's over it. Georgie loves planning children's birthday parties and making people laugh, just not at her own expense. She's determined to fix herself up into a woman of the world, whatever that means. Phase 1, a new framework for her business. A website from this decade. Phase 2, a gut reno on her wardrobe. FYI, leggings are pants. Phase 3, updates to her exterior. Do people still wax? Yes, they do. I do it. Phase 4, put herself on the market and stop crushing on Travis Ford. Living her best life means facing the truth. Georgie hasn't been on a date since, well, ever. Nobody's asking out the town clown for a night of hot sex, that's for sure. Maybe if people think she's having a steamy love affair, they'll acknowledge she's not just the little sister who paints faces for a living. And who better to help demolish that image than the resident sports star and tabloid favourite? Travis Ford was Major League Baseball's hottest rookie when an injury ended his career. Now he's flipping houses to keep busy and trying to forget his glory days. But he can't even cross the street without someone recapping his greatest hits or making a joke about his bat. And then there's Georgie, his best friend's sister, who is not a kid anymore. When she proposes a wild scheme that they pretend to date to shock her family and help him land a new job, he agrees. What's the harm? It's not like it's real, but the girl Travis used to tease is now a funny, full of life woman, and there's nothing fake about how much he wants her. Look, if that doesn't sum up what I've said mostly about this book, I don't know what will. So that's book 1. I'm sorry. I probably would have given it 4 stars, and that's just for me personally. I could semi-relate to Georgie, but not 100%. She is definitely in a different field of work compared to me. She plans children's birthday parties and just loves making people laugh. And I don't love making people laugh. I do it because I'm awkward and I'm like just laugh at me instead so that like we can get out of this awkward situation. And look, Travis is probably not my cup of tea. I would have thrown him in the bin from the get-go. No, I'm so glad that she persevered. When you read it, you'll understand. But the second book, so Fix Her Up, and then it moves on to Love Her or Lose Her. So every character from the second and third book you do meet in this first series. And then at the end I'll explain what I loved about a common theme in all 3 books. So I'll read book 2's blurb out. So Rosie and Dominic Vega are the perfect couple, high school sweethearts, best friends, madly in love. Well, they used to be anyway. Now Rosie's lucky to get a caveman grunt from the ex-soldier every time she walks in the door. Dom is faithful and a great provider, but the man she fell in love with 10 years ago is nowhere to be found. When Rosie's girlfriends encourage her to demand more out of life and pursue her dreams of opening up a restaurant, she decides to demand more love out of it too. 3 words, marriage boot camp. Never in a million years did Rosie believe her stoic, too manly, too emote husband would actually agree to relationship rehab with a weed-smoking hippie. Dom talking about feelings, sitting on pillows, communicating with nature, learning love languages? Nope. But to Rosie's surprise, he's all in, and it forces her to admit her own role in their cracked foundation. As the two complete one ridiculous yet surprisingly helpful assignment after another, their remodeled relationship gets stronger than ever. Except just as they're getting back on track, Rosie discovers Dom has a secret and it could demolish everything. So now that I've actually read the blurb and I know what's being told, obviously yes, so Dom was a soldier. When they got married at 18, and then he deployed like straight after. Can you imagine what that would do to you mentally? So I completely understand where he's getting from. Also, now that I can say this, the counselor, relationship rehab hippie was weird at times, really weird, and I was like, what is he doing? But what he did actually worked. And it's funny because I'm studying psychology, so coming from science-based, I'm like, what is this guy telling them to do? Like, I don't understand, but it worked and it was great. Weird but great. So a really great story. like I said, these were just really nice light reads. Although that is a little bit of a heavy topic, they were easy to read through, very light-hearted, and when they made it to the other end, it was like really great. You were like, yes, go team. The second book is about Rosie and Dominique. They are married, but they're having marital issues, and if that's not like a common occurrence in everyday life for a lot of people, also not married, so can't talk from experience, but from what I hear and what I read and what I see, who doesn't have issues in their marriage? Who doesn't have issues in their relationships? That's something I can't even comment on. I have had past experience, let's say that. And throughout this book, they're working to get their marriage back on track. And obviously, I don't want to spoil anything, but they're all happy ever afters, and I love a happy ever after book. If a book finishes on a sad note, the main couple do not get back together, I riot. I will not read that book. I will not finish the last page. Well, obviously I do, because I do know that they don't get back together, but if an author's not going to give me a happy ever after, I might walk. I might not be a fan. So that was something that was really great about this. Again, throughout all three books, easy writing, still cringy sex scenes, but when is it not? The one thing I will say, I found it weird that, and again, I don't know if it's because I can't talk from personal experience, because they start off not talking to each other even though they're married. And I'm a talker. I could not do that. If my partner didn't talk to me, I'd be like talking his ear off until he did turn around and talk to me. In saying that, I've never dated someone that has been through what Dom went through, so no judgment here. When I read a story, by the way, or a series or anything, I don't know if you guys get like this too, but I feel like I'm their friend, like, and that I've been there in the book. So sometimes I start talking about characters as if they're my friends, and my family are always like, who is this? And I'm like, oh, from the book. And they're like, oh. And then we moved to the third book, which was my favourite by far, just because I love these characters. Now, this is where I'm probably going to go a little bit in depth. I'm probably going to have to put a spoiler warning on here. I don't know if I'll spoil anything or not. Maybe I already have, because I already mentioned that they're all happy ever afters. Alright, let's read the blurb of Tools of Engagement. Also, love that I haven't taken the sticker off this one yet. I'm too nervous. I don't want to ruin the cover. I need to get the hair dryer out. Alright. Hair, makeup, clothing, decor, everything in Bethany Castle's world is organised, planned and styled to perfection. The home she designs for her family's real estate business are the most coveted in town. The only thing not perfect, her track record with men. So she's on a dating hiatus, and now she finally has the time to focus on her dreams. Flip a house from framework to furnishings all by herself, except her older brother runs the company and won't take her seriously. When a TV producer gets wind of the Castle sibling rivalry, they're invited on Flip Off, a competition to see who can do the best renovation. Bethany wants bragging rights, but she needs a crew, and the only member of her brother's construction team willing to jump ship is Wes Daniels, the new guy in town. However, Wes's Texas drawl and handsome face got under Bethany's skin on day one, and the last thing she needs is some cocky young cowboy in her way. As the race to renovate heats up, Wes and Beth are forced into close quarters, trading barbs and biting banter as they remodel the ugliest house on the block. It's a labour of love, hate and everything in between, and soon sparks are flying. Bethany's perfectly structured life is one kiss away from going up in smoke, and she knows falling for a guy like Wes would be a flipping disaster. Now, I just love all the puns, by the way, in the blurbs about building. I actually didn't know what this series, like the series itself, was called. I was just calling it the Fixer Up series until I bought one of her other books, and in the front it tells you what the series is, because in here it just says this series. I don't know if you can see that.
I'm always serious.
I don't know if you guys heard that, but my Siri just spoke to me from my laptop. Give me a second. Alright. So I loved this series the most, maybe because for me it felt the most relatable. Beth is 30 and look, I'm only 28 or just about 28, so it's not like I'm 30, but I'm not far off. And although she is on a man hiatus and isn't dating, and I am in a serious relationship, there were so many aspects of her personality that I could relate to, like trying to portray this perfect life and that you've got your shit together when really half the time you don't. You're overthinking every move you make, every piece of clothing you wear, every step that you take. And that's something that she does, like within the first kind of chapter or two. She's rethinking what she's wearing and how she's going to look in like front of the people that she's talking to and how they're going to perceive her. And that's probably the best thing to say, is that it's everybody else's perception of her that she's concerned with. And I relate to that. I feel that in my soul, and I'm sure 90% of you can, because who hasn't questioned themselves? I always like to fake it till I make it, pretend I'm confident. And a lot of people will say, you are so confident, and I'm really not. I'm a bundle of anxious nerves. Half the time I want to cry when talking to people because I'm an introvert, to the point that I, out in public, am an extrovert and make jokes and just talk non-stop without breathing so that I feel any awkward silences. So can relate to her. And then just the banter between her and Wes was, I'm trying to think of the right word, like really more captivating compared to Rosie and Dom, who probably didn't have so much banter, especially at the beginning when they weren't talking. And they've been married, so they know each other like the back of their hand, so they can just like talk and communicate. And between Georgie and Travis, that was like a fine line, because it's like his best friend's sister, and she's had a crush on him the whole time growing up. When she was younger, she used to like love heart eyes him wherever he went. When she was 14, he was however old he is. Whereas these two have only just recently met, and like the blurb says, from the get-go he started like bantering with her and her with him, but not nice banter, I guess, at the first start. They got under each other's skin. They were like little digs here and there, and then when you start to see it, it goes from like digs to like flirtatious digs and romantic digs, as well as still the funny ones, and you're like, this is such a great relationship. Also, because it is mentioned in the previous series, when Wes comes in, you find out that he has moved into town because he's looking after, he's now like the sole carer for his niece, and he's only 23, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I feel like he's 23. So I can't remember if it's in here. Not from what I can see. But yeah, what guy at the age of 23 who has been living the high life, or just a life without a kid, uproots their whole life to go and look after their 5-year-old niece? I'm pretty sure she's 5. That to me was commendable, and that's probably why I got along with this couple. I related to this couple. I loved this couple more for that reason. But again, like I've said multiple times, the writing across all 3 books is so great. It's so easy to read. It's really captivating. She's also really good at describing. I love anything with descriptions of maybe what people are wearing, what the house they're in looks like. I know other people do not like lots of details, but I'm like, give me all the details. So that's something that I really did love about the way Tessa Bailey writes. I could not recommend this series enough. If you like, I read it on uni summer break, so if you're on summer break, perfect read. If you're on winter break, perfect read. If you need something that's just light in between a full-on series, perfect read. Also, I feel like if you wanted to, you could read the first book and then come back to the second book like a year on, not that I recommend you do that. And same with the third book, because although it's in the one series, it's not like one after the other events like other series where they follow this exact same main couples. So at least you've got different couples that it follows, so it really doesn't matter how much of a break you have. The one thing I wanted to say is obviously the common theme is that all the boys flip houses and all the girls are either sisters or friends. And I love the way that they become friends as well. I'll keep that a secret, but there's just something about women supporting women that I love. So anytime a book shows that, I'm like, yes, go for it. So I hope you loved my blubbering on. I hope that my rambling at least made you a little bit excited to go and read these. I will say I've actually never watched a book YouTube. I read reviews, like I live on Goodreads and even Amazon and Apple Books, but I've never watched a YouTube on a book review, so I had nothing to go off. I probably should have done some research before I started this, but I decided to just jump straight on in. So I hope you really enjoyed today's episode. Please make sure you like, subscribe, send in any comments down below, anything that you liked, anything that you want to ask, recommend that I read. I'm always down for recommendations, and I'll talk to you guys soon.